Hello, it's Sarah here from the Huntingdonshire Child and Family Centres. As you might be able to see, I am accompanied by two little helpers today. Our theme this week is all about on the farm, and I don't know about you, but at some of the farms I go to, there's little pets corners where you can pet rabbits and guinea pigs and things like that, so I thought that would be perfect to introduce into our theme of on the farm this week. So we have Peanut helping us and we have Podge helping us today, and we're going to read My Best Friend Bob by Georgie Ripper, about two best friends, two guinea pigs just like these two here, that live in a pet shop. And they have a few adventures, and there's a little sad bit and then there's a very happy bit. So, My Best Friend Bob. Brian the guinea pig lived in a nice comfy cage in Pete's pet palace with his best friend Bob. Brian had short shiny fur which he was very proud of. Bob had long tufty fur which he didn't really think all that much about. There they are, there's the two in the story. The two little guinea pigs spent their days doing what guinea pigs do best, eating, sleeping and playing I Spy. Brian was terribly good at I Spy and almost always won with clever words like budgerigar and dog food. These two never play I Spy, but they do eat a lot. One day Brian and Bob were busy playing when a little boy walked into the shop. I spy with my little eye, said Bob, but before he could finish, the little boy reached into the cage and picked him up. I want this one, the boy said. I shall call him Fluffy. Brian watched as Bob was put into a cardboard box with holes in the lid. He just had time to wave goodbye, and Bob was gone. Oh dear, I wonder what's going to happen. Suddenly the cage felt very big and empty. Oh dear, sighed Brian, I shall miss Bob. And he trundled off to find a peanut to cheer himself up. But he didn't cheer up at all. In fact, every day Brian missed Bob more and more, and every day he felt more and more miserable. I think he's very lonely. Then one day, Brian was sitting in his cage feeling very glum when he noticed an old man peering down at him. The man picked him up and smiled. He's just what I was looking for, he said, and he put Brian into a box. Uh-oh. At first, Brian was excited. Maybe there'll be other guinea pigs in my new home, he said to himself. He began to whistle and felt much more cheerful. That evening, he found himself all alone without so much as an earwig for company. Brian sighed. He wished he was back in Pete's pet palace. At least he could chat to the goldfish there. I wonder what's happened to my best friend Bob, whispered Brian. He's probably forgotten all about me by now. He wiped away a tear and curled up in the straw. The next morning, Brian hadn't even opened his eyes when he felt the box being lifted up. What's happening now? He grumbled, but he didn't really care. Things couldn't get much worse than they already were. He drifted back to sleep, dreaming of Pete's pet palace and winning a peanut throwing competition with Bob. A little while later, Brian was woken by a buzz of excited voices outside his box. Oh, bother, he said crossly. Can't I at least have some peace and quiet? Then suddenly the lift was lifted off and bright light streamed into the box. Brian looked up to see a little boy smiling down at him. He sleepily wondered if he had seen the boy somewhere before. This shirt looks a little bit familiar. The boy picked Brian up and gave him the biggest hug he'd ever had. Oh, thank you, Grandad, he said happily. He's just what I wanted. I shall call him Snuffles. The little boy put Brian into his new hutch. Brian stretched out and sniffed the air. That's funny, he said, and he sniffed the air again. As Brian watched, a pile of hay in the corner started to move, and all of a sudden... Brian! Bob! Brian was so excited to see Bob that he thought he might just burst with happiness. That evening, sitting together in the hutch playing I Spy, the two little guinea pigs had almost forgotten they'd ever been apart. I spy with my little eye, said Bob, something beginning with P. But Brian was already fast asleep. I'm glad they found each other again.